Okay, welcome back everyone in our lesson in machine learning, machine learning basics. So in this section, we will go to the section 4, supervised learning classification. In this subsection, the first one is understanding logistic regression, like supervised learning, understanding logistic regression. So logistic regression is a supervised learning algorithm used for binary classification problem. Unlike linear regression, which predict continuous values, unlike linear regression, which predict continuous value, logistic regression predict the probability of an observation belonging to a particular class. The predicted probability is then converted into class label based on decision boundaries. So you have a key concept in here, like the first one is different between linear and logistic regression. Linear regression output continuous values, while logistic regression output probability between 0 and 1. So logistic regression use the sigmoid function to map the output to a probability, and then sigmoid function is defined as, maybe we go in here, sigmoid function is something like this. So it maps any real number to a value between 0 and 1, making it ideal for a probability estimation. So decision boundary, the decision boundary is the threshold, example 0.5, used to classify observation into one of two classes. So for example, we want to logistic regression in Python, we will use the iris datasets from scikit-learn, focusing on classifying whether a flower is species Setosa, binary classification problem. So we will import a library and datasets. So maybe before we go the we want to, like, what is logistic regression and example. So this is some popular example of its use include predicting if an email is spam or not spam, or if a tumor is malignant or not malignant. Within logistics regression, this most commonly used approach, and more generally, it is one of the most common classifier for binary classification. So the logistic regression is a binary classification rather than a continuous value. So we use linear regression for continuous data, right? So continue data like this, but logistic regression using binary classification problem. So that was the difference between logistic regression and the linear regression. Okay, we go up to our code. So we go in here, like we go to next section, which is supervised learning classification, and we go to the text again. We go to logistic regression, or we want to understanding logistic regression. So we import the library and dataset, import numpy, snp is it like usual. It's like we import trend test split, logistic regression, we import accuracy, confirmation matrix, classification, we load the iris dataset, X is iris data using only first two feature for simplicity, and iris target binary classification Setosa versus others. So in here, like, we load the data set. So the X, maybe we want to see in here, like X hat. We want to see the iris data, numpy, feature, iris feature names. So the first two feature for simplicity, and maybe Y hat. Number has not attribute. Oh, it's still an array, but we don't use this first. We want to maybe check the person wants to in here like expand this data frame. And the data frame maybe like this. We want to check in here Panda data frames. Maybe use this using X. So yeah, in here we use the first two feature maybe just for simplicity, and we want to check the binary classification. Maybe we go in here like arrays feature names. So sepal length and sepal width. So we go to X the sepal length, sepal width, and then we check the Y. Y is like column. Y is 1 and binary classification setosa versus other. So we want 1 is setosa and 0 is not setosa. So if you want to check the iris data for checking the iris, we can check in here like maybe iris no, maybe we don't want just no, we just want setosa versus other. So 1 is setosa and 0 is not setosa. Just we leave at that. So X is sepal length and sepal width. So we just want to the columns for X for the setosa or not. So I want to check it on that, and then we want to visualization the data. So we visualize the data. So it's like this, like sepal length is like this in this classification, and sepal width this. We want to check the scatter plot of the two features, and then we want to check where is setosa and where is not setosa. So setosa is the blue one and the red one is not setosa. So we can check the data in here. We can check the classification. So logistic regression is classification like that. So we check the setosa and not setosa. Also, the next one is splitting the data. We split the data to make a prediction, trend and test like usual. So we make a trend test, y trend and y test, trend to split and x, y, and something like this. We training the data and 120 like usual, and 2 columns. So x there's 2 columns, and we want to make a sigmoid function demonstration. So the sigmoid function maps real number to probability between 0 and 1. So in here, like we want to make a comment like this maybe. So step 4 is sigmoid function like this. We want to check the sigmoid function maps real number to probability between 0 and 1. So it's like it's 0 and 1. Okay, so this is the sigmoid function and this is the decision boundary. And then we can check, so you just use the sigmoid. So sigmoid equation is this 1 per 1 plus like this. In this equation is 1 per 1 plus a root square of min x. Right, so next we use a training logistic regression model. So we want to make the logistic regression model to check the intercept and coefficient. So we want to check in here. Step 5 is training logistic regression. So the linear regression is the intercept of and coefficient represent the decision boundary equation, like z equals to b0 is intercept like this. Maybe we just want 2 like this, and b times x1 and plus 2.5 times x2. So it's in a coefficient like this, the logistic model. Also, we go to the next making prediction. So we making the prediction in here. So maybe we go to prediction probability, logistic model probability, X test, and prediction is logistic model predict X test. So predictive probability is like it's 0.003, and then this is a 0.9, which is can be 1, and this is 0.000012333, something like that. So the predicted class label is it's the first one is 0, the second one is 1, something like that. So they are the probabilities to predict the class label. So yeah, maybe we visualize evaluating the model. So we check if the model is good. So we can check the evaluating the model, like the metric is accuracy, confusion matrix, and classification report. So the accuracy is using accuracy score, and we can use a y-test and y-print. So print accuracy and confusion matrix, and y-test and y-prediction. So classification report, we check in here. So the accuracy is 1, confusion matrix is like this, classification report. So this is a 100% accuracy. If you don't really know what are the confusion matrix, so we can check in here. Confusion matrix. So what is confusion matrix? A confusion matrix is a table show how well a classification model is performing. It summarizes the number of correct and incorrect predictions made by the model. So we have true positive and true negative, false positive and false negative. Like true positive, the number of correct prediction for positive outcome. True negative, the number of correct prediction for negative outcomes. False positive, the number of incorrect prediction for positive outcomes. False negative, the number of incorrect prediction for negative outcome. We can check the image in here, like we can use this. This is actually and predicted, so we can check in here. Like this is 20, right? 20. 20, the actually positive is 20 and predictive is also 20, so it's true. So this is true, but this is false, right? So we can see our accuracy is 100% because this is 0, this is 0, so there is no false in our model. So 100% accuracy in our predicting probability model logistic regression. We use a logistic regression model in here. We use logistic regression and it 100% accuracy. So the 30 tests. So we have a testing set is 30, right? So in here we want the 20 is really setosa. We check in here. So we label setosa and not setosa. So the true is setosa and the model predicts the setosa. So actually positive is 1 setosa and the predictive value is also 1. So it's true positive. So true negative is we can see it's 10. So 10 is not setosa. So 10 is not setosa. It means that not setosa in here is 10. But the model predictive not setosa also, so it's really 30 per 30 is 100 accuracy. So if there's a number in here, so it means that our accuracy not 100%. So that is a confusion matrix. So yeah, if you have something like this, if for example our in here. So example, so spam. So spam detection is 0 indicate absent, no spam. 1 is spam, right? So if we can see in here, the email maybe, for example, the email is spam and the actual is in here. So the predicted is spam, so it's true. So also as non-spam, the actual is 9,000 not spam, and the predicted is also true in 9,000 non-spam. But in here, the actual is non-spam, but the model have predicted they are spam, so it's false positive. Also in here, non-spam. The actual is spam, but the predicted is non-spam, so it's false negative. So false, false, and true, true. So you can see in here is true and in here is false. So in our model is 100% accuracy because this is true, and this is false, this is false. So there's a same classification report, and that was the classification confusion matrix concept. So I hope you understand with confusion matrix concept, and this is the interpretation. So the accuracy measures the percentage of correctly classified observation. Confusion matrix show true positive, true negative, false positive, and false negative. Classification reports provide precision, recall, and F1 score. So we can check in here. Classification report. So we can check classification report is summary of machine learning model performance. So it's a text report that shows the main metric for each class in the model. So what is precision? Precision is the accuracy of positive prediction or the ratio of true positive to the sum of true false, sum of true and false positive. Recall the completeness of positive prediction or the ratio of true positive to the sum of true positive and false negative. F1 score is a balance between precision and recall or the harmonic mean of precision and recall. Support the number of samples in class, accuracy, the overall correctness of the model, and weighted average among complex metrics that consider the support in calculation. So this is why is classification report useful? It provides a detailed analysis of how well a model is performing. It helps you understand if a model is doing well on new data. It can help you compare model to select the best one. So when is classification report useful? When you're using classification model to predict things like spam or whether an insect is dangerous, something like this. So it's how well our model is 100%. So it's really good for our logistic regression model. So it's good. Also, next is visualization, decision boundary. So if you can see like this, there's decision boundary. So this is the boundaries where the setosa, like this, right? So we go in here like this is a setosa and this is not setosa, but they are they make a perfect boundary. In here this is setosa and this is not setosa, right? Yeah, so it's good example to check the decision boundaries. And decision boundaries separate classes based on predict probabilities. Yeah, so you can say like this is sepal width, sepal length. This is the logistic decision boundary. So you can use a plot in here like something like this. You just use this code for you. So yeah. The conclusion is logistic regression is a powerful classification tool for binary problems. The sigmoid function enables the conversion of linear outputs to probabilities, and decision boundaries separate classes based on predicted probability. So this is our lesson about logistic regression. Like, I hope you understand, and if you don't really understand, you can play back the concept, play back the difference between logistic regression and linear regression. And this is really cool because usually people make the first project is spam or not spam in their email or something like that. So yeah, I think it's for the logistic regression. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys in the next video. Thank you. Okay, hello, welcome back guys. So we in this section, supervised learning classification, in this subsection 2, implementing logistic regression in Python. So in this subsection, we will implement a logistic regression model for binary classification using Python. The step will include data preprocessing, training the model, making prediction, and evaluating its performance. Before we just using the logistic regression, but right now we will include data preprocessing, training the model, making prediction, and evaluating its performance. We will use the Titanic dataset from the Seaborn library for this demonstration. So the first one is step 1 is importing library and loading the dataset. So in here we will go to our code. We will make a text. So implementing logistic regression in Python. So step 1 is importing library and loading the dataset. So we make in here. So the data sets in Titanic, so we already used this a few times before. So the Titanic dataset contains information about passengers such as age, gender, fare, and supervised status. We will use to predict whether a passenger survived binary classification. So this is our Y. So 0 is not survived and 1 is survived, right? So we can check the binary classification using this Titanic data. We use data preprocessing first in the step 2, like in here we will go to step 2 data preprocessing, which is cleaning and preparing the data. Right, select relevant features and drop row with missing values. So we have to and sex, age, fair, and class. We get the features plus survive, and survive is the y, and then y is survive. So the features is x variable. So x variable, we go to the age, fair, we use encode categorical variable, which is sex and class, which is sex and class is non-numerical, so sex is male, female, and class is third, first like this. So we encode the categorical variable. So we get the features, we get the data, and then we encoded categorical variables. Actually, we already learned this about in data transformation and encoding before. We make sex and class, so class second and class third and sex male, true or false, like this. And then we encoded the encoded data. We get a defined feature is x and target is y. So x is feature is age, fair, sex male, class second, and class third, and target is the target y hat. So encoded data in survive. So the explanation is we selected relevant features for the classification test. Categorical variable like sex and class were encoded into numeric representation. Row with missing value will drop for simplicity. So this is we get the drop, not a number value. So we already step 2 data processing is good. So data processing is usually in data cleaning in here, and data processing is data cleaning, feature scaling, data transformation, encoding, splitting data, and this example in here. So if you don't really understand this, you can go back to this section. Next is we split the data like for we go splitting like usual. So we split the data set into training and testing set. So extract, extest. So also we make explanation like this. Like the dataset is split into training 80% and testing 20%, set to evaluate the model performance on unseen data. So we can check in here like 571 using in X using its training set shape, and in testing we can use a 143 test shape like this. Okay. Next is we go to the step 4, training the logistic regression model. So in here we train them. So step 4 is training the logistic regression model. So logistic model is logistic regression and max iteration is 1000. So you can use this logistic model fit X trend and Y trend that you change that you define earlier. So the intercept is like this. So intercept is 3.66 and the coefficient is like this, 0.03 minus 0.03 and pair 6 mil and like this. So the logistic regression model is trained on the training set. The intercept and coefficient represents decision boundary equation. So the intercepts and coefficient represent the decisions boundary equation. So it have equation like our example earlier. So in like this, right? So the intercustomer response decision boundary equation like this. So it has something like this. It's same concept in here. So the x is minus 0.03 x1, which is x1 is h, plus 0.001 x2, which is fair, and etc. So we want to making the prediction. Step 5, making the prediction. We want to make the prediction, and prediction is logistic model predict x test. So we get x test and y test in here. Like we can check the predicted label is y prediction, and y test is the label that we can see in here, right? So if you don't really understand this, we will go through one-on-one. So x train is the variable x that we train. Y train is variable y that we train. Variable y that we train. So example in here, right? So in here. How about we make this in here? Or I'm sorry. So this is the x train useful as x train in here. Y train is y train in here. But how about in x test? X test is prediction variable that we use to predict. It uses in here. It uses in here. Right. So x test is used in here, and it generates a y prediction. And then the last one is y test. So y test is y actual variable y actual, and it usually to compare between y prediction and y test to check the accuracy of the model. It used like this. Okay, this is explanation x train, y train in here that we always generate before, but I don't really give you guys an example for that. So yeah, it's like this for the explanation of the x train, x test, y train, and y test. And you just use train test split x and y, the x and y data, and you have test size is 20% and random state is 42. So this is the explanation. I hope it's clear. And then this is usually y pride, and this is usually an prediction. So in y test is maybe a prediction, like predicted label is y prediction and actual label is y test. So this is the model predict survival, 1 for survive and 0 for not survive for the test set. So predicted label is they predicted they not survive, but in the last in the second is the actual is they survive, but in this they predict they're not survive, right? So if you check again in confusion matrix, so in our confusion matrix in here, like they actual label is they not they survive, but the predicted is not. So where is it? So the actual is the positive, like survive, but the predicted is not. So it's false negative, right? So it's false negative in here. So you can check in here, like actual is survive and the predicted is not. So it's false. The accuracy is not will be 100% like before. So we want to evaluating the model. So we make this accuracy confusion matrix, and we calculate the accuracy, we calculate the confusion matrix, and we calculate the classification report. So usually Y test and Y prediction is always used in here to maybe calculate accuracy. So maybe I want to make in here. Okay. So in here, like calculate accuracy, calculate confusion matrix, and classification report. This is the example of using test and prediction. So this is just our library for you understanding the difference between X trend, Y trend, X test, and prediction and test. So this is just an example. This is little concept about X trend, Y trend, and test, and prediction. Okay, like this. So yeah, we can use this as classification report. So the accuracy is you can see that this is false. So there's in our confusion matrix. So the actually is positive, but they predicted as negative, right? So the actual is survive, but they predict as not survive. So this model is not perfect like before, right? So this is the accuracy is 76% accuracy. It's not 100% like before. So this is really actual models, and this is true. This is true. True positive and true negative, but this is false. False negative. False negative, and this is false positive. So they not survive. They but the model predicted it survive. So it's false, right? So false negative. So the explanation is accuracy measure the proportion of correct prediction. So 76% is accuracy, but confusion matrix provide details and true positive, true negative, false positive, and false negative. So this is true positive. So this is true negative. This is false positive and false negative. False negative in here, false negative, and this is false positive. The precision classification report include precision, recall, and effort score for each class. So the precision in 0 is 80%. So they use not survive. So they predict not survive more better rather than survive, right? So this the difference about it. Okay, next is we maybe visualization the results. So So the visualization result, we use metric heat map. So yeah, this is the really explanation again about confusion matrix as you can understand it. So we use heat map, SNS heat maps, confusion matrix that we used before, confusion matrix in here. We max this variable in here, confusion matrix. We just use the tick label is not survive and survive, y tick label is not survive and survive. We go to x label is predicted and y label is actual. So the actual is they survive, but in the predicted value is they predicted not survive. So this is survive and not survive is false. Maybe predicted class, and how about actual predicted is so maybe in here this is actual, this is actual, and this is a false positive. So this is actual, so they survive. This is a false positive and this is a false negative because they are false, but they are not survive, right? So in this survive and this false positive. So yeah, if it were me, that I remember survive is positive, so it's false, and then it's positive, and then it's false, it's negative, right? So in not survive is more wrong, right? So this is a good example for the heat maps for visualizing the confusion matrix. So as you can see, the interpretation is like the actual is not survive, and then the predicted predict the 69 of not survive, and then survive, the actual is 39, and then the predicted is 39 also. But false is survive 17, and then it predict not survive, and then actual not survive is predicted survive in here. So it was the interpretation about this confusion matrix. So if you don't really understand it, you can check it more also in here, like to know better about confusion matrix, because this is really important. Why confusion matrix is important? It's really important, like it helps data scientists and machine learning practitioners evaluate the performance of a model. So if you write a paper or you make a prediction about something that you want to check the models, which the model is more good, so you max the confusion matrix. So help assess classification model performance in machine learning by comparing predicted values against actual values for a data sets. So it's visualization method for classification algorithm results. So it's like that, and then the end conclusion, like logistic regression is effective for binary classification problem. Evaluating metrics like accuracy and confusion metric help assess model performance, and visualization enhance the interpretability of result. So maybe you want to check again if you don't really understand it, and maybe you want to use the actual data. It's like a spam folder, or maybe result example case like fraud detection, spam detection, disease prediction, churn prediction, customer purchase prediction, loan default prediction, political election prediction, gradual prediction, recommendation system. So it's a lot example cases using logistic regression. Like it's really important, and it's really good, simple, and it's really good explanation, and it's really more powerful if using the example of the real data. Okay, okay guys, thank you for for listening to this far. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Okay, welcome back guys. So in this section 4, supervised learning classification, we move on to the subsection 3, decision tree. So decision tree are versatile machine learning algorithms that can be used for both classification and regression tasks. They split data into subset based on feature values, creating a tree-like structure. The split are determined by metrics such as entropy, Gini index, or other empirical measures. So the key concept is how decision tree works. So splitting, decision node split the data based on features that maximize the separation between classes. So impurity measures, entropy, measure the disorder or uncertainty in data. So we use the in here. We use entropy measurements. So maybe we use entropy in decision tree. Yeah, a measure of disorder of uncertainty in data that use decision tree to split data into more homogeneous subset. So it uses these equations. So it's really basically just math. So if you are new for this, you just want to know the codes or something like using the model. So you just use the model and you just use the evaluating the model, choose between model that have more accuracy. So it's really if you knew that just what that you want to know. But if you want to more advanced, you can use the equation like this. And equation is minus some logarithm and something like this is same equation for the entropy in decision tree. So you have to use Gini index to measure the probability of incorrect classification. So what difference about classification versus regression? Like in classification, decision tree predict class label. In regression, decision tree predict continuous values by averaging the target variable in a node. So the step 1, maybe we use like this, importing library and dataset. So it's really same ideas with regression. It's predict continuous. So in classification, they predict class label. So in classification, usually the example is like spam or not spam, or maybe it survived or not that we create earlier. So in here we will go to next text. Decision tree. So we go to code decision tree with step 1 is importing the datasets. So we want to use Iris dataset for classification and visualize how decision tree split the data. So we want to use this like Iris like usual, sepal length, sepal width, petal width, and target. So the dataset contains 4 features and a target variable with 3 classes. We will build a decision tree to classify the flowers. Okay. We add again in here. So splitting the data like usual, like we split the 30, the 18 and 20 data tests and train. So 120 and 30 like usual. So you should know this by now. And the step 3 is training decision tree classifier. So we use a decision tree in here like training decision tree classifier. So a decision tree classifier uses splits to separate data into homogeneous groups. The criterion like Gini or entropy determines the equality of the split. So you have a criterion Gini and you you use a decision tree classifier to X trend and Y trend like this, and then you use a feature importance to the decision tree. So the feature importance, so you want to initialize display feature importance. So if you don't know what a feature important is, like you might say, what is feature importance in machine learning? So this is called a way to measure how important each input features to model predictions in compare of explainable strategy. So maybe we want to more like in decision tree, determined by how much feature contribute reducing the uncertainty in the target variable. So the importance of these variables is more rather than petal is more rather than in sepal or sepal width, right? So the important is petal length is more important rather than the other features. Next is we want to visualizing the decision tree. So we visualize the tree like okay. So it's like this. So petal length is under the 24.5 like gini, 0.777667 like sample 120. Like true if petal length is 3 like this. So the tree diagram so split decision node and leaf node is split correspond to a condition on a feature. So we use petal length if petal length under 2.45, and then this is a true if setosa. So if false if under 4.75, and then it can be true if the petal width is 1.665, right? So but if the petal width 1.67, it will be versicolor, but if not, it's Phryginica. So it's something like this. So it's really simple, but maybe I don't really explain that much simple. But in here, if petal length is under than 2.54, and then if true, yes, and then its class is setosa, right? But false, the class is versicolor, and something like this. So yeah, it's decision tree like this. So maybe we want to check the tree diagrams of position and leaf nodes. So maybe we check in here. Okay, like this. So this is an example of a tree diagram. So split, decision, and leaf node, right? Maybe we want to decision tree and decision tree. The concept is something like this, right? So income more than 13K. If how about we check the simple ones, maybe in this. So this is a decision tree if Elsa pointy is whisker, if floppy is not cat, but if has whisker then cat, and then if not have whisker is not cat. So it's simple decision tree. Like how about we make simple decision tree? So yeah, decision tree like this, right? So able to fly, true, and then it has a lay eggs. So if true is bird, but the not lay eggs is mammals. Able to fly has feathers is bird, and but not has feather is mammal. So yeah, it's really decision like this, right? Student, yes, attendance class, pass the exam, but if they not attendance the class, they fail the exams. If the student, if not student, but they join the activity and she can pass the exam, if not, they fail the exam. It's same in here. So if petal length under 2.45, less than, it's class setosa, but false, it's class versicolor. But if we can see, the petal length is under less than 4.75. But if petal width 1.65, it has a versicolor, but if not, it have class virginica. And if petal length not of less than 4.75, and then the petal width is under 1.75 is student versicolor, and then else is virginica. It's something like that, right? So it's visualize the decision tree. Actually, it's just decision tree like that. So maybe you need to learn more, but if you just want to in here like prediction, you just use this prediction, not really to visualizing the decision, but you have to know the concept of decision tree, right? So they use decision based on tree like this. So yeah, if else, something like that. So we make prediction. So the prediction is like this, it's same predicted and actual label. How about we check the 10 value? So you can see that it has same numbers with predicted and actual. So how about we check the evaluating the model, how accurate the decision tree. So evaluating the model, so if you can see that it's 100% accurate, so using the decision tree, right? So accuracy, confusion metric, and classification report, so they accurate for setosa, versicolor, and virginica. So the accuracy is 100%. So it's more a lot better than so it's so it is the example of using decision tree. And then we use building a decision tree regressor. So in here, step 7. So regression, for regression task, decision tree predict continuous value by averaging the target value within a node. So example, predicting petal length based on other features. So data drop column target, and we use a data target simulating regression problem for demonstration. We use a trend test splits, trend test regression. So we can see his regressor is decision tree regressor, and regressor fits like this. We predict the value, right? So we have a regression, RMSA is root mean square, measure the average error in prediction. Lower value indicated better performance. So this is a lower value, so it means that in decision tree regressor is better model. So the conclusion, like, decision trees are interpretable models suitable for both classification and regression tasks. Split are determined based on impurity measure like entropy or Gini index. visualization and feature important provide insight into the model decision-making process. So we already learned about the feature importance. So this is the importance variable to go to the y of features and the target. Also, if we delete this, there's no it's okay because the importance more than this variable rather than these two variable, right? So also we visualize the decision tree. Decision tree is like if this then this, if not then this, if not then this, then this, like something like that. Maybe a simple decision tree, cat or dog, maybe cats. Yeah, simple RS pointy, dog does it bark, no, yes, dog, no, is cat, right? So yeah, it's really simple. This is a decision tree. If pointy, face shape round is cat, not round is not cat, or whisker is cat, if not is dog, something like that. It's really decision tree concept using this in machine learning. So yeah. So we use decision tree model and then 100% accuracy, and then we try to building a decision tree regressor. So the decision tree are intermediate model suitable for blood classification and regression tasks. So the decision tree is really a good one of the good model out there. So there's a lot of paper to make the decision tree as good models. So actually, okay guys, maybe that's for the season 3. I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Okay, welcome back guys. In this section 4, supervised learning classification, we will go to subsection 4, key nearest neighbor, KNN, or key nearest neighbor, and it's a simple yet powerful classification algorithms. It is a non-parametric method, meaning it makes no assumptions about the data distribution. Instead, it classifies a data point based on the majority class of its key nearest neighbor in the feature space. So the key concept is introduction to a use case and like how it works. For a given data points, the algorithm identify the key closest point neighbor in the training set. The class label is determined by a majority vote among this neighbor. So distance metrics, commonly used metric include Euclidean distance, Manhattan distance, Minkowski distance. Use case is like handwritten digit recognition, like for example MNIST datasets, recommender system, medical diagnosis. So advantage and limitation is like simple to implement, no training phase, instant-based learning, effective for small datasets. Limitation computationally expensive for large datasets, sensitive to irrelevant or noisy features, choice of case significantly affect performance. So we go check key nearest neighbor in the in here, like so they just use this like the data point is random, so it's really goes to okay, maybe we check the explain, right? So it's a machine learning technique that predict the class of value of data point by finding its nearest neighbor. So this is the key point. It's a simple non-parametric algorithm that used for classification and regression tasks. So the KNN algorithm is used in application like image recognition, fraud detection, and recommendation system. Right. So it's type of supervised learning used for both regression and classification. So the key nearest neighbor is like they just point in here. So they use the neighbor that really close, right? So they see the data and then they move based on the nearest neighbor. So that is the concept nearest neighbor. So yeah, something like that. So in here, like yeah, so maybe you can see in here, like, so this is a stop and this is a burger, right? So, or maybe a fast food sign. Yeah, this is the new example to classify. They just give the data point random, So they see the neighbor. So the neighbor is have stop sign and this fast food sign, right? So actually the stop sign may be to more near than the neighbor rather than the fast food sign. So they included, they exclude the fast food sign and maybe just to the stop sign like that. So yeah, it's used something like this. It's used the nearest neighbor. So they find their nearest neighbor and that are the cluster. So that's the concept of using nearest neighbor. So maybe step 1, we will go to importing the library. We will use Iris dataset. Like usual, we use Iris dataset, we split the data, and we check step 3 is training the KNN classifier. Right, so maybe we make this first using nearest neighbor, and like usual, we importing the library. We will use Iris dataset. We print the dataset like this, right? So I'm not gonna explain this again. So we just want to just copy this, like the step is 120 and 30, and then the step 3 is training the classifier KNN classifier, right? So in here, so the training the KNN classifier. So choosing K, a commonly used approach is to test multiple values and select the one with the highest validation accuracy. So the distance matrix, so the default is Euclidean distance. So you have a number of neighbors, so train the model, right? So you get the K, so you have something. So this is a key neighbor classifier, and we max the prediction. Okay. So basically it's same, like they really max this data same as predicted and actual in KNN, because yeah, KNN is one of the model predict class labeled for the test data based on majority voting among the key nearest neighbor. So the concept of key nearest neighbor, and in here number of neighbor, we use K is equal to 5, right? So you generate the like this. So in here, like what is K in KNN and K means, it check the nearest neighbor. So it maybe what is K in KNN, simple explanation, right? In here, KNN stand for key nearest neighbor algorithm, where K denotes the number of nearest neighbor considered in the analysis, right? So if we can stay here in the IBM website, so it's actually just a number of mathematics. So if you don't really understand it, it's okay, but the more important is you know KNN model is using KNN neighbor classifiers using this sklearn neighbors. So we use this sklearn neighbor for models, and we use this as the neighbor, KNN neighbor, and then fit the train model. So actually this is you need to know, but I just adding the new the sum of the information that optional, but I will give you the information. But this is the basic information that you should know. So if you just know this, then you're fine, right? So this is the value in k algorithm defines how many neighbor will be checked to determine the classification of a specific query points. For example, if k equal to 1, the distance will be assigned to the same class as a single nearest neighbor. So defining k can be balancing, act as different value can lead to overfitting or underfitting. Lower value k can have high variance but low bias, and larger value k may lead to high bias and lower variance. So this is example of using KNN algorithms. So yeah, if you don't know how to much use of the K, you can read the journal or paper that defines where how much the K is good for your model or for your data, something like that. Okay. And then next we go to evaluating the model. So we evaluate the model like this, like usual. We generate the metric accuracy. Like this is also 100% accuracy using KNN model, right? So yeah, it's really same like before. The confusion matrix, the classification report, Setosa, Persico, and Privinica. And then maybe we visualize the predicted value. So yeah, if Setosa is have actual 10 and the predicted is also have 10, something like this, is same as this in here. Yeah, it's not really much of difference concept, it's just same concept. And this is the tuning hyperparameter. So this is the importance of k neighbor. So as I told you earlier, but if you don't know how much k that you want to use, right? So maybe the choice of k significantly impacts the model performance. So this is important. Testing multiple value can help to find the optimal value, right? So you want to check the k values rank 1 to 20, right? So you want to check this. But if you don't want to check like this, so it's really a lot in your computer. So you want to check the journal or the paper that have same data as you. So you just want to get their k numbers. But if you want to test different value of k like this, and you can predict this. So the accuracy in this, like if you can see, like this is a 7, so 7 is immediately drop the accuracy. So you want to like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and not 7. So yeah, so you don't want to use 7 k, so the other is fine, right? So that's the tuning hyperparameter. But this is a really simple data. But if you want to make to see the differences, you can use the other data that have a lot of differences and have a lot of not really perfect data. So I think iris data is one of the perfect data, but if you want to study much more advanced, you can use the others rather than the iris data. Okay, I will make the conclusion in here. So KNN is simple, intuitive algorithm suitable for classification tasks. The choice of k and distance metric greatly affect performance. Evaluating multiple value of k on visualizing result ensure optimal performance. Or you can check paper or journal that set the best k using the same data as you. So this is my professionally opinion. So yeah, you can check like that. Okay, I think it's there for Q&A, so I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much. Okay, welcome back guys. So in this section, supervised learning classification, like subsection 5, super vector machine. Supervised machine or SVMs are powerful supervised learning algorithms used for classification and regression tasks. SVM aims to find the optimal hyperplane that best separates classes in feature space. So the key concepts is hyperplanes. Hyperplanes is decision boundary that separate data points of different classes. In 2D space, it is line, and 3D is a plane. So you can see in here, like super for maybe we do this super vector machine, like hyperplanes that best separate different classes. So they make separated the class, the different classes like this. So they have a hyperplane like this, yeah. So it makes differences with hyperplanes, and 3D space it's a line, and 3D is a plane. Like supervector, data points closest to the hyperplane are called supervectors. These points influence the position and orientation of the hyperplane. Kernels are used to handle non-linearly separable data by mapping it to a higher dimensional space. Common kernel types include linear, polynomial, radial basis function, RBF, and sigmoid. So like usual, we want to go to Iris dataset to demonstrate SVM implementation for both linear and nonlinear data. We like users visualizing the data and then splitting the data like usual. So yeah, maybe I just want this. So we want next text about okay. So super vector machine. Usual we use importing the library. We will use Iris dataset to demonstrate SVM implementation for both linear and nonlinear data. But we just using the first two features for visualization. Like for example, in here, like we visualization the data. So like this, right? So we use scatter plots and Iris dataset visualization. These plots show how the first two features distribute among the three classes. We will classify these classes using super vector machine. So yeah, we check this. Sentosa is the blue. Versicolor is like what is this colors, and Virginica is green. And then we check again, and we split the data like usual, yeah, right? So we split 80% to 20%, and then we go again in training SVM model. So we use a linear kernel. So a linear kernel is suitable for linearly separable data. The hyperplane is straight line in this case. Yeah. So we check in here like linear super vector like this. So this is the vector in here. So maybe we don't want to display. So we just want to check the linear, and then we visualizing the decision boundary linear kernel. So I'm not too fast explaining this. We just check the data visualization, and like usual, we split the data X-trend, X-test, Y-trend, Y-test, and then we go in here like SVG like this in this model, like sklearn SVM, import SVC in here. Like we use SVC kernel linear, so we want to visualization the decision boundary or linear kernel. So in here, right? So it's really go to linear SVM decision boundary. So as you can see that this is the boundary of the setosa, this is the boundary of versicolor, and this is a boundary of Phryginica, right? So it can be used. It can makes the differences, but it can make the concept of the SVM models. So we check the training and SVM prediction. So we can see in here. So training SVM model. So the RBF kernel maps the data into higher dimensional space, making it suitable for nonlinear decision boundary. So if you can see, like using this RBF kernel, so you want to fit X trend and Y trend and predict this. So RBF kernel SVM accuracy is 19%, right? So this is 90% accuracy, lower than DKNN and decision tree and logistic regression. The lower super vector machine is lower for accuracy rather than the others that we learned earlier. So we want to check the RBF kernel, and we want to check this. So this is the visualization, the decision boundary of bar kernel. So it's not linear like this. So this is a linear SVM, right? So this is RBF SVM decision boundary. So it's slightly not linear. So you can see like setosa in here, but yeah, maybe it's more lower the accuracy, but it's not linear. So we can see the accumulated model. So it's really have an error in here. So they not really 100%. So they make confusion matrix not really. So this 82% and the accuracy is 90%. So if you we see the KNN is 100%, the decision tree is 100%, but the SVMs is not 100%, right? So yeah. So there's a model that really not suited for our data, right? So SVM finds the optimal haplogroup to separate data points. Linear kernel works for linearly separable data, while ABF kernel handle non-linear data effectively. So this is a non-linear, and we can use the linear also. So visualization of decision boundaries help understand the classification, right? So we visualize this for help understanding the boundary of the data. We can see here, and when the best use of SVM rather than the other model, right? So because our data 19% accuracy, but the others is 100% accuracy. So this is you have a small to medium sized data set. SVM perform well with small data set, especially when the data is high dimensional, such as in text classification and or bioinformatics. So SVMs is more than in text rather than in numeric type. So maybe we check the pros and cons. So SVM effective in high dimensional, but SVM can be sensitive to the choice of kernel. SVM are memory efficient. SVM can be slower to train and predict. SVM and versatile. So if you maybe something like this is much more good using the SVM rather than the others. And then they can be multi-dimensional like this, right? So in here we can check in here is the visualization of RBF vector machine. So SVM support vector machine, so it's using this as, yeah, it's more good explanation. Basically, model machine learning is just full of equation, but yeah, like this, if we use 3D, like something like this, right? So if we use in 3D and it is a plane, and so this space is a line, and 3D is a plane. So you can use, this is a 3D, so this is something like this in the middle, and then the surface, and then the under. So yeah, so using SVM more good in using that. This is the turn parameter kernel, like it is same or our code in here, right? So same in here, same material. Yeah, it's using a gamma, and advantage this being a highly sophisticated and meticulous algorithms. But this image is, well, SVM is fast and with high dimension it will fall in front of naive bias, providing faster prediction in high dimensions. So yeah, yes, pros and cons using SVMs in our data. Using SVMs not good much of idea. So using our risk data, SVM tends much lower in accuracy rather than in our others models. Okay, I think it's for the supervised learning classification, guys. Thank you for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Okay, welcome back everyone. This is the last subsection in this section 4, supervised learning classification. In this subsection 6 project, we comparing classification model. Like in this project, we will compare the performance of multiple classification models, logistic regression, decision tree, KNN, and SVM, using the wine dataset available in sklearn dataset module. The dataset classify wines into 3 categories based on their chemical properties. So this is the we import the dataset, and we will go to the data preprocessing, and so we make this in here, like project classification model. Step 1, we import the library and datasets. So the one datasets contains certain feature representing chemical property of wines. The target variable has 3 classes type of wine. So this is the target, and this is the certain features, chemical property of wine, like alcohol, malic acid, S, activity of S, magnesium, and etc. And next is we want to step 2 is data preprocessing. Like we scaling the feature scaling ensure that all features contribute equally to the model performance. So extends like usual. So we use the 80% of the training and 20% of the test size. So we standardize the feature like extend scale and extend scale. So we check this like extend is training set shape is 1 and 14. And then 36, right? So the test. So next is we want to training multiple models. So we make decision tree, and we make logistic regression, decision tree, KNN, and SVM, right? So we want to check this. Step 3 is logistic regression. Logistic regression in here. So we want to decision tree, and then we want to KNN, and we want to SVM. Alright, so we check the logistic regression using model logistic regression, and we just run. And decision tree, we just using decision tree, we just run in here. We use KNN, we just run in here. So we use SVM, so yeah, so we run in here. So there's an accuracy, and accuracy. The differences accuracy with logistic regression, decision tree, KNN, and super vector machine. So we want to check the comparing models. So we can see in here, step 4 is comparing the models like accuracy, confusion matrix, and classification report. Like you can see, like logistic regression is 100% accuracy, SVM is 100% accuracy, but decision tree and KNN just 94% accuracy, right? So you can see the logistic regression is and SVM is 100%, and decision tree and KNN is much more lower than logistic regression and SVM. So we can the conclusion is in here maybe we want again using confusion matrix. So the confusion matrix for SVM, so SVM is one is the truth. To check is 14 portions in X, so maybe we want to check the others, but we don't. Maybe we mix not SVM model. We want maybe check decision tree because it's lower. Decision tree is maybe tree accuracy and tree model. In here, like this is the best model, like SVM in this case, so maybe we want to use tree approximation for the tree model. Like yeah, it's okay, I don't know this tree model, and then tree prediction. So you can check this, maybe in here there's a wrong in here, like one it should be class 2, but they predict as class 0. It should be class 0, it predict as class 1. So yeah, you can check here why it is all wrong. So prediction, same in here, like this is yeah, you can see like the prediction is wrong in here. But how about we check the KNN, maybe in here is KNN model, KNN. But the KNN is KNN model and KNN Y prediction. KNN Y prediction and KNN model, right? So we can see the difference. Oh, so it's different. So this is in here, like they're wrong in here and in here, but SVM is wrong in here and in here. So KNN is class 1, they predict as class 0, but in class 1 they predict as class 2. So they wrong 2 in here, and then the SVM wrong 2 in here. But the SVM is 100% correct, and then the logistic regression also 100% correct too. So we don't have to check the confusion matrix, right? So because it is same value, because it 100% correct. So there's the comparing classification model. So it can be make a simple, and in here we use a conclusion like this. So logistic regression works well for linearly separated data. Decision tree perform better when feature importance play a critical role. KNN sensitive to the choice of K and works well for a small dataset. SVM excel in handling non-linear relationship with appropriate kernel selection. So this is the few conclusion. Like we use in here, SVM is the lowest one, right? So this is just 19% of accuracy in data iris, but this is KNN is 100%, decision tree 100%, logistic regression is 100%. But in this project, using wine dataset, SVM is more good rather than the SVM more good rather than decision tree and KNN. So yeah, it's much more different. So this is maybe 3 confirmation music for 3, and this is confirmation music for KNN. So I changed the title also. Yeah. So there's a difference data. It can be different model, right? So in here, in this data, SVM more good model because it has 100% accuracy. It's it different when using iris data. It has 19% accuracy. So basically the difference of the data, it will generate a difference accuracy in the model. So there's no just one good model. It depends on the data. So this is my conclusion also. Yeah. So okay guys, this is a section for supervised learning classification. I will see you guys in the next section and the next video. Thank you for watching. Thank you. See you next time.